So I thought today we'd talk about the force field post from Forbidden Planet and talk about whether there's enough of you out there that'd be interested in making your own, that you want me to post a build video. It wouldn't be exactly the same as the original one because it'd be based on modern components, parts if you will, and 3D printing. But let's talk about the original. Basically, here's some stills of me with an original, with the fins off, as you can see in these pictures. That one would be viewed like that. And this is the light rack, which is inside the post. There's a frame that holds the 4 ceramic Edison bulb screw base holders, and they used 350 watt projection bulbs, 4 of them. And because the projection bulbs would run so hot, and you're talking about plexiglass fins, they air cooled them. They had a fitting. The pipe went in, air holes down here in the bottom underneath the cone, and a little air muffler inside so they could blow air up through the tube. There's a view from the very bottom. The bottom of the post would be anchored to the stage, 4 bolt holes. Here you can see the air line coming in and the little air muffler. The light cage slides in from the bottom either side of that air muffler. And let me go to some more pictures. Here's a picture of the light cage, a close-up of one of the bulbs, so you can see the projection bulbs that were used, the porcelain, the metal cage. That's a view from the top with the top fin off. You can see the very top of this light cage, this rail. There's the clear plexiglass fin parts. They're made from 3/4 inch thick clear plexiglass, and then you route a 45-degree angle on these, and then you flame polish them clear again. And a couple of pictures of the post back together. Of course, you don't need that. You can look at that post back together. So, if you wanted to make one, here are some pages with some dimensions, and I would suggest you just pause the video, take a picture of it, and then print it out. Let's see if I can hold this in front of the camera. I'm going to turn the viewer so I can tell when it is in front of the camera. And are we in? I think we're in. Let me see if I can give you close-ups to some of this. These are old handwritten notes. The very top of it, up here where the top one goes in, that's made out of wood. So you got your metal 4-inch pipe. You've got wood that's 3/4 of an inch thick, 5.5 inches diameter from side to side. And you've got this taper, and it's just glued to the top of the wood. The 4-inch metal pipe, steel pipe, was common back in the 50s, well, clear back to 1880s. Up to about 1960, you could find it because 4-inch metal pipe like that was used in boilers. Large boilers that would heat almost every building and school that you can think of back then. These days, if you want to buy the 4-inch pipe where the outside diameter is 4 inches and it's only like a 1/16 of an inch thick or something like that. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure I have it written down on here somewhere. We'll get to that. Anyway, you'd have to buy what they call exhaust pipe. Muffler shops would order it. And for muffler shops pipe, it's not a real thick wall, and they're sold by outside dimensions, and you can get 4-inch. I've looked on Amazon, for example. You can get it both in the mild steel, which is what you want. You can even get it in stainless steel. But you would need that, and basically if you were trying to build one that was screen accurate, you'd need like 51 inches in length of the 4-inch pipe, because you've got the added distance here at the base where they screwed it to the floor and left a space between the cone and that. What else? This drawing right here would give you measurements of where to cut the slots in the pipe on both sides and where to mount the cone shape and the plate. And basically the cone has a lower diameter of 10 inches. It's rolled in 16th inch steel. I'm going to weld it at the top, so you have a 4-inch opening at the top, 10-inch diameter at the bottom, and if this is 47 and that's 43 1/4, so just under 4 inches in height, you could determine how to make your cone. Now there's going to be easier ways to do this if you're not interested in being 100% screen accurate. And the light frame, if you're going to make the rail, you're going to use 1/2-inch flat iron, about an 1/8 inch thick, to make the rails and the side parts and everything. And these are dimensions for welding that up. The rails are 50 inches long. What else do we have here in the way of old notes that would be useful if you're interested? Oh. So the side clear parts, which you'd make 8 of them, you've got an area down here at the bottom where there's going to be a clear frame that you cut in plexiglass and glue in. You can see by these two where these two marks are. So your total width is 6 3/4 inches. Everything's going to be in inches, not millimeters. This was made in America in the 1950s. And your total length is 6 1/4 that way. But you can see you have a rise up before you do the route for the frame. And this little picture frame that you're seeing the dimensions for in front of you is what you glue on that. And these would be the screw holes where they screw into the pipe. So that's the side ones. The top one is still 6 1/4 long, but it's only 5 1/2 inches wide because it's fitting in that wood piece at the very top. So let's move in a little closer. Hang on, you're going to be moving. I gotta set down this stuff. So here you can see how they screw in that we were talking about. There's a screw frame. The top one actually just sits in a notch in the wood. And screw top and bottom. Now you're going to need to make some sort of flashing circuit for yours if you want to get the shimmer effect. They're actually, back in the 50s, they were using a mechanical sequencer, 4-step, back there in this box. I have an electronic one, and that knob allows me to adjust the speed because I wanted to get the shimmer that you had like in the movie. So let's turn this knob down so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's real slow. And so now you can see the sequence. Now you can build your own sequencer. For these days you wouldn't want to put a filament bulb in there. And you certainly wouldn't need 350 watts because you're not trying to light up a sound stage in a movie. You would go in there with some LEDs. And the idea was you weren't to see a sequence, you were to see a shimmer effect. And that has to do with being able to adjust your speed to where it looks good. That looks pretty good. If you were just trying to get the rough effect, like if we do this project where maybe we can 3D print these rather than having to buy 3/4 inch of clear acrylic and a router, and then you have to have the oxygen acetylene torch so that you can properly flame polish, and you would need a welder for welding. You know, if you're trying to get away from all that, we'd end up building using 4-inch PVC black pipe. The only problem with 4-inch PVC is its outside dimension is 4.5, so your pipe would be a 1/2 an inch wider than this one. And the only problem in doing these parts on an FDM printer, even if we do a thin, say 1mm wall, they're not going to be clear. FDM printers don't print clear, not even with the poly smooth stuff. You can get sort of clear if you go paper thin with that, but they're going to be frosted. And again, it may be possible doing a 1mm wall on something like this. If you had a large resin printer, you might be able to print them in clear and they might look pretty good. I don't know. I don't have a resin printer yet. But a person could use 4-inch black PVC pipe. The lower cone could be 3D printed in, if you have a small printer, in sections. If you have a large printer, as one piece. You know, for the flashing light effect, it's Christmas time right now. Why not go buy some Christmas lights? A lot of them are sold with like 8 light functions, and some of them are very fast sequential, and it might look shimmering. Maybe even some of those icicle lights that have strange patterns and stuff. Seems like a person for 10 bucks could probably find some Christmas LED lights that could be used to light 3D printed parts to get an effect. I mean, you're not going to be making a studio exact replica, but you could make a fence post that looked physically the same and had the same lighting type effect for very little money. Probably a roll of filament, 10 bucks for this PVC pipe because it's real cheap, and maybe 10 more bucks for the LEDs. So maybe you're into the whole thing for 30 or 40 bucks. But again, there's got to be enough response. You've got to get enough likes or enough people subbing or leaving comments so that I know it's worth my time to sit at the CAD machine and to do the test prints to figure it all out for you. So let me know in the comments below if you're interested. And if you're going to spend all of the time and money for welding and rolling and routing and plexiglass and all that kind of stuff to make a screen one, you've got the dimensions to go ahead and go down that route. It'd be rather expensive these days, but you could get pretty close, I'm pretty sure. There you go. Have fun. Let me know.